The air in the living room was thick with betrayal, the kind that chokes you before you even realize you're suffocating. My sister, Lily, stood there, her eyes blazing with a fury I'd never seen, accusing me of something so vile it felt like a knife twisting in my gut. "You poisoned my food, Sarah," she screamed, her voice cracking as she pointed a trembling finger at me, her college backpack slung carelessly over one shoulder. I froze, my coffee mug slipping from my hand, shattering on the hardwood floor. Poison. The word echoed in my mind, absurd and surreal, like a line from a bad TV drama. Our mother, sitting on the couch, gasped, her hands flying to her mouth as if Lily's accusation had physically struck her. "Lily, what are you talking about?" I managed, my voice barely above a whisper. My heart pounded, not just from the accusation, but from the sheer audacity of it. For years, I'd been the one holding our fractured family together, the one who worked overtime to pay for Lily's college tuition, the one who stayed up late balancing bills so Mom could keep her medications. And now, this. "You've been trying to get rid of me," Lily snapped, her cheeks flushed with rage. "I've been sick for weeks, nausea, headaches, dizziness. I went to the doctor, and they found traces of something in my system. You're the only one who cooks for me, Sarah. You want me out of this house so you can have Mom all to yourself." Her words hit like a slap, each one stinging more than the last. I glanced at Mom, hoping for a flicker of disbelief in her eyes, but she just stared at Lily, then at me, her face pale and uncertain. The room spun slightly, the weight of Lily's accusation pressing down on me. I'd spent the last 5 years sacrificing everything for Hermie's social life. My savings, my dreams of moving out, and now she was painting me as a monster. "Lily," I said, forcing my voice to stay calm, "I would never hurt you. You're my sister." But even as I spoke, I saw the doubt in Mom's eyes, the way her hands trembled as she clutched her tissue. Lily's accusation wasn't just a personal attack. It was a calculated move to turn our family against me. The fight escalated quickly. Lily stormed to the kitchen, yanking open the fridge and pulling out a container of leftover pasta I'd made the night before. "This," she shouted, holding it up like evidence in a courtroom. "This is what you've been poisoning me with." She threw it to the floor, the plastic splitting open, sauce splattering across the tiles. Mom let out a small cry, and I felt my chest tighten. "Lily, stop," I pleaded, stepping toward her, but she backed away, her eyes wild. "You're always so perfect, Sarah," she spat. "The responsible one, the one who saves us. But I see through you. You're jealous because I'm actually doing something with my life, while you're stuck here playing martyr." Her words cut deeper than I wanted to admit. Jealous. I'd given up my own chance at college so she could have hers. I'd taken a second job at the diner to cover her tuition when Mom's disability checks weren't enough. But the worst part wasn't her ingratitude, it was the realization that she genuinely believed I was capable of harming her. Mom finally spoke, her voice shaky. "Sarah, is there any truth to this?" The question felt like a betrayal of its own, and I turned to her, my eyes stinging with unshed tears. "No, Mom," I said firmly. "I swear on my life, I'd never do anything to hurt Lily." But the doubt in her eyes lingered, and I knew Lily's accusation had planted a seed that wouldn't easily be uprooted. That night, I lay awake in my childhood bedroom, the same one I'd never left because I couldn't afford to. The walls were thin, and I could hear Lily crying in her room next door, her sobs muffled but raw. Part of me wanted to go to her, to demand an explanation, to shake her until she saw the truth. But another part, a quieter, more exhausted part, wondered if I'd been blind to something. Had I missed signs of her resentment? Had I been so focused on keeping our family afloat that I'd ignored her struggles? The next morning, I found a note on the kitchen counter in Lily's handwriting. "I'm staying with a friend until you're gone. Sarah, I don't feel safe here." My heart sank. She was serious. She wanted me out of the house, out of her life. And worse, Mom hadn't said a word to stop her. I spent the day combing through every detail I could think of. The symptoms Lily described: nausea, headaches, dizziness didn't add up to poisoning. At least not for me. I'd been meticulous about cooking, always making sure her meals were fresh, especially since she'd been so stressed with finals. But something was wrong, and I needed answers. I called her doctor's office, pretending to be Lily to get information. The receptionist was vague, but confirmed Lily had been tested for toxins. We found traces of an over-the-counter medication in her system. She said, nothing life-threatening, but enough to cause discomfort. My mind raced. Medication. I didn't keep anything stronger than ibuprofen in the house. That's when it hit me, Lily's new friend, Mia. She'd been over a lot lately, always bringing energy drinks or snacks for Lily to help her study. I'd never liked Mia. She was too slick, too quick to flatter, with a smile that never reached her eyes. Could she be involved? The thought felt like a stretch, but I couldn't shake it. I drove to the college campus, my hands gripping the steering wheel so tightly my knuckles turned white. Lily was staying with Mia, and I needed to confront her. Not just to clear my name, but to understand why my sister, the one I'd sacrificed everything for, had turned against me so viciously. When I pulled up to Mia's off-campus apartment, I saw Lily's backpack on the porch. My heart pounded as I knocked, each rap echoing my growing dread. The door swung open, and there was Mia, her expression smug until she saw the fire in my eyes. "Sarah," she said, her voice dripping with false sweetness. What a surprise. "Where's Lily?" I demanded, pushing past her. The apartment was a mess: empty cans, crumpled papers, and a faint smell of something chemical. Lily was on the couch, looking pale and exhausted, her eyes widening when she saw me. "Sarah, what are you doing here?" she asked, her voice trembling. "I'm here to figure out what's going on," I said, my voice steady despite the storm inside me. "Because I'm not the one hurting you, Lily, and I think you know that." Her eyes darted to Mia, and for the first time, I saw a flicker of doubt in her expression. It was small, but it was enough. I wasn't going to let this go on until I uncovered the truth. The air in Mia's apartment was stale, heavy with the scent of cheap air freshener and something sharper, almost medicinal. Lily sat hunched on the couch, her knees pulled to her chest, looking smaller than I'd ever seen her. I wanted to rush to her, to pull her into a hug and promise everything would be okay. But the wall of her accusation stood between us, cold and unyielding. "Lily, talk to me," I said, keeping my voice low but firm. "Why do you think I'd hurt you? What's really going on?" Her eyes flicked to Mia again, who was leaning against the kitchen counter, arms crossed, watching us like a hawk. "You don't get to play innocent, Sarah." Mia cut in before Lily could respond. "Lily's been sick for weeks, and you're the one who's been feeding her. It's not hard to connect the dots." I turned to Mia, my anger flaring. "And you're so quick to point fingers. But what's your role in this? You've been glued to Lily's side lately, always bringing her study snacks. Convenient, don't you think?" Mia's smirk faltered for a split second, but she recovered quickly. "You're paranoid," she said, tossing her hair. "Lily's my friend. I'm just looking out for her." "Looking out for her?" I snapped. "By turning her against her own sister. By convincing her I'm some kind of villain." I took a step closer, my voice rising. "What's in those energy drinks you keep giving her, Mia? Or those protein bars you're so generous with?" Lily's head snapped up, her brows furrowing. "What are you talking about, Sarah?" she asked, her voice barely above a whisper. I knelt in front of her, forcing her to meet my gaze. "Lily, listen to me. The doctor said they found traces of medication in your system. I don't keep anything like that at home. But Mia's been bringing you food and drinks for weeks. Don't you think that's a little strange?" For a moment, The room was silent, the weight of my words hanging between us. Lily's eyes searched mine, and I saw the flicker of doubt grow stronger. She turned to Mia, her voice trembling. Is that true? Have you been doing something to my food? Mia laughed, a sharp, nervous sound. That's ridiculous. Sarah's just trying to deflect blame. She's the one who's been cooking for you, not me. But Lily wasn't convinced. She stood, her hands shaking. Mia, you gave me that energy drink yesterday, and I felt worse after. You said it would help me focus, but I could barely stay awake. Mia's face tightened, and I knew I'd struck a nerve. Lily, you're being dramatic, she said, but her voice lacked conviction. I seized the moment, pulling out my phone and scrolling to a photo I'd taken of the fridge at home, a habit I'd picked up to track groceries. Look at this, Lily, I said, showing her the screen. This is everything in our fridge. Nothing but fresh ingredients. No medications. No weird supplements. Now tell me, what's in Mia's kitchen? Lily hesitated, then walked to the counter where Mia's bag sat. Before Mia could stop her, she unzipped it and pulled out a small bottle of pills. The label was half torn, but the word antihistamine was clear enough. Lily's face paled. Mia, what are these? They're just allergy meds, Mia said quickly, reaching for the bottle. But Lily yanked it away. Allergy meds don't make you nauseous or dizzy, I said, my voice steady. And they don't show up as toxins in a blood test unless you're taking way too much. How much have you been giving her, Mia? The room felt like it was closing in, the tension so thick I could barely breathe. Lily stared at the bottle, then at Mia, her expression a mix of shock and betrayal. Why? She whispered. Why would you do this? Mia's composure cracked, her eyes darting to the door like she was planning an escape. I didn't do anything, she insisted, but her voice was shaking now. You're both crazy. I stepped between her and the door, my heart racing. You're not going anywhere until we figure this out, I said. Lily, call the doctor. Ask exactly what was in your system. And Mia, you'd better start talking. Lily fumbled with her phone, her hands trembling as she dialed. I kept my eyes on Mia, who was starting to look less like a smug instigator and more like a cornered animal. The pieces were falling into place, but I still didn't understand why. Why would Mia want to hurt Lily? And why drag me into it? As Lily spoke to the doctor, her voice grew steadier, her questions sharper. I caught snippets, something about excessive antihistamines causing her symptoms. Nothing about poison. When she hung up, her eyes were wet with tears, but her jaw was set. It wasn't poison, she said, her voice breaking. It was antihistamines. Way too much. The doctor said it could have come from supplements or drinks. She turned to Mia, her voice rising. You've been giving me those energy drinks every day. Did you put these pills in them? Mia opened her mouth to deny it, but the look in Lily's eyes stopped her cold. For the first time, I saw my sister's strength, the same fire that had fueled her accusation against me, now turned on the real culprit. I trusted you, Lily said, her voice raw. You were my friend. Mia's shoulders slumped, and she sank onto a chair, her face crumpling. I didn't mean to hurt you, she mumbled. I wanted you to need me. You're always so perfect, Lily. So smart. So talented. I thought if you were a little off, you'd lean on me more. I felt a chill run through me. This wasn't just about Lily, it was about control. About jealousy masquerading as friendship. And I'd been the convenient scapegoat. Lily turned to me, her eyes filled with regret. Sarah, I'm so sorry. I should have known you'd never hurt me. I wanted to be angry, to yell at her for believing Mia over me. But all I felt was relief. I pulled her into a hug, her tears soaking into my shirt. It's okay, I whispered. We're okay. But we weren't done. Mia's confession was just the beginning. and I needed to know how deep this went. Had she planned to frame me from the start? And what else had she done to manipulate my sister? Lily's hug was tight, desperate, like she was trying to anchor herself to me after everything that had just unraveled. Mia sat slumped in the chair, her earlier bravado gone, replaced by a hollow look that made her seem smaller, almost pitiful. But I wasn't ready to feel sorry for her, not after she'd tried to tear my family apart. "Start talking, Mia," I said, my voice cold. "Why me? Why make Lily think I was the one hurting her?" Mia's eyes darted to the floor, her fingers twisting in her lap. "It wasn't supposed to go this far," she mumbled. I saw how close you and Lily were. How you were always there for her, paying for everything, being the perfect sister. It made me feel invisible." "Invisible?" Lily snapped, pulling away from me. "So you decided to make me sick and frame Sarah. What kind of friend does that?" Mia flinched, but she didn't look up. "You don't get it," she said, her voice barely audible. "You have everything, Lily. A sister who'd do anything for you. A mom who loves you. A future. I have nothing. My parents don't care if I graduate. I'm drowning in loans. I just wanted to be important to you." Her words hung in the air, heavy with a twisted kind of truth. I could see the pain in her eyes, but it didn't excuse what she'd done. She'd manipulated Lily, preyed on her trust, and used me as a pawn to drive a wedge between us. "So you thought poisoning her and blaming me would make you her hero?" I asked, my voice shaking with anger. "Do you have any idea what you've put us through?" Mia's head snapped up, her eyes flashing with defiance. "I didn't poison her. I just crushed up some antihistamines and put them in her drinks. It wasn't supposed to be dangerous, just enough to make her feel off, so she'd need me to take care of her." Lily's face twisted with disgust. "You made me think my sister was trying to kill me," she said, her voice breaking. I was terrified. "Mia, I thought I was losing my mind." I put a hand on Lily's shoulder, trying to steady her. "How long?" I asked Mia. "How long have you been doing this?" Mia hesitated, then sighed. "A couple of months," she admitted. It started small, just a little in her coffee to make her sleepy. But then she kept talking about how you were always cooking for her, how you were so perfect. And I got carried away. "Carried away," I repeated, my voice rising. "You nearly destroyed our family. Lily was ready to kick me out of the house because of you." Lily's eyes filled with tears again, and she turned to me. "Sarah, I didn't know. I swear, I didn't know." "I know," I said softly, squeezing her shoulder. "But we need to figure out what to do now. Mia, you can't just walk away from this." Mia's face crumpled, and she started to cry, but I felt no sympathy. She'd crossed a line that couldn't be undone. I pulled out my phone and started recording, my hands steady despite the rage simmering inside me. "Say it again," I told her. "Everything you just told us. And don't leave anything out." Mia's eyes widened, but she knew she was trapped. Haltingly, she repeated her confession, her voice breaking as she described how she'd crushed the pills, slipped them into Lily's drinks, and planted the idea that I was to blame. When she finished, I stopped the recording and slipped my phone back into my pocket. "We're going to the police," I said, my voice firm. "This isn't just about you hurting Lily, it's about you trying to ruin my life, too." Lily nodded, her jaw set. "I want to press charges," she said, her voice stronger now. "You don't get to do this and walk away, Mia." Mia's sobs grew louder, but I didn't care. I took Lily's hand and led her out of the apartment, leaving Mia behind to face the consequences of her actions. The drive home was quiet, the weight of everything settling over us like a heavy fog. When we got back to the house, Mom was waiting, her eyes red from crying. "Lily, Sarah, what's going on?" she asked, her voice trembling. We sat her down and explained everything: Mia's confession, the antihistamines, the manipulation. Mom listened in stunned silence, her hands clutching the edge of the table. When we finished, she pulled us both into a hug, her tears soaking into my hair. "I'm so sorry, Sarah," she whispered. "I should have believed you." "It's okay, Mom," I said, though the hurt still lingered. "We're going to be okay." But as we sat there, wrapped in each other's arms, a new question gnawed at me. Lily didn't know I'd been paying her tuition. She thought Mom was covering it. I'd kept it a secret to avoid making her feel indebted. But now, with everything out in the open, I wondered if it was time to tell her the truth. "Lily," I said, pulling back to look at her, "there's something you need to know." Her eyes searched mine, wary but curious. "What is it?" I took a deep breath, my heart pounding. "I've been paying your college tuition. Every semester. Every fee. It's why I work 2 jobs. Why I'm always so tired. I didn't want you to worry, but I need you to know." Lily's mouth fell open, and for a moment, she just stared at me. Then her face crumpled, and she threw her arms around me, sobbing. "Sarah, I had no idea. Why didn't you tell me?" "I didn't want you to feel like you owed me," I said, my voice thick with emotion. "I just wanted you to have a chance at the life I didn't get." Mom's hand tightened on mine, her eyes shining with pride and guilt. "Sarah, you've done so much for us," she said. "Too much." The weight of their words settled over me, warm and heavy, like a blanket after a long, cold night. For the first time in years, I felt seen not just as the responsible sister, the one who fixed everything, but as someone who loved her family fiercely, flaws and all. But even as we held each other, I knew this wasn't the end. Mia's actions had left scars, and the truth about her manipulation would ripple through our lives. We had a long road ahead: police reports, maybe a court case, and the slow work of rebuilding trust. But for now, we were together, and that was enough. The police station was cold, the fluorescent lights casting harsh shadows on the linoleum floor. Lily sat beside me, her hands clasped tightly in her lap, her face pale but determined. I'd played the recording of Mia's confession for the officer, a stern woman with a notepad who listened without interrupting, her expression unreadable. "So, you're saying this Mia deliberately dosed your sister with antihistamines to make her sick?" the officer asked, glancing at Lily. "Yes," Lily said, her voice steady despite the tremor in her hands. "She admitted it. She wanted me to think Sarah was doing it." The officer nodded, jotting down notes. "We'll bring her in for questioning. This could be considered assault, depending on the evidence. Do you have the bottle of pills?" I handed over the small bottle Lily had found in Mia's bag, now sealed in a plastic bag I'd grabbed from her apartment. "This is it," I said. "Lily's doctor can confirm the antihistamines match what was in her system." The officer took the bag, her eyes softening slightly. "You've been through a lot," she said, looking at me. "Most people wouldn't have stayed so calm." I didn't feel calm. Inside, I was a storm of anger, relief, and exhaustion, but I managed a small nod. "I just want to make sure Lily's safe." As we left the station, Lily grabbed my hand, her grip tight. "Sarah, I don't know how to make this up to you," she said, her voice thick with emotion. "I was so wrong about you." I stopped walking, turning to face her. "You don't have to make anything up to me," I said. "You're my sister. I'd do anything for you, even when you drive me crazy." She laughed, a small, shaky sound, and for a moment, it felt like we were kids again, giggling over some silly secret. But the weight of everything lingered, and I knew we had more to unpack. When we got home, Mom was waiting with a pot of tea, her hands fidgeting as she poured us cups. "What happens now?" she asked, her voice quiet. "We wait," I said, wrapping my hands around the warm mug. "The police will talk to Mia. and we'll see what charges they can file. But for now, we focus on us. Lily looked down at her tea, her expression troubled. Sarah, about the tuition, I still can't believe you did that for me. Why didn't you tell me? I sighed, setting my mug down. I didn't want you to feel like you owed me anything. I know how hard it's been for you. With Dad gone and Mom's health, I just wanted you to have a shot at something better. Lily's eyes filled with tears again, and she reached across the table to take my hand. I've been so selfish, she said. I was so caught up in my own stress, my own life. I didn't see what you were giving up for me. Mom reached out, placing her hand over ours. You're both my girls, she said, her voice breaking. I've let you carry too much. Sarah, I should have been stronger for you both. The room fell quiet, the weight of our shared history settling over us. For years, we'd been a family held together by survival Dad's death, Mom's illness, my endless shifts at the diner and the office. But survival had come at a cost, and Mia's betrayal had forced us to face it. Over the next few days, we started to rebuild. Lily went back to school, but she was different, more open, more willing to talk. She told me about the pressure she'd been under, how Mia had fed into her insecurities, whispering lies about how I was jealous of her success. It hurt to hear, but it also made me realize how much we'd let drift between us. One evening, as we sat on the porch, watching the sunset paint the sky in shades of pink and gold, Lily turned to me. I want to help, she said. With the bills, with Mom, with everything. I'm not a kid anymore. Sarah, I can't let you carry it all. I smiled, my heart swelling. Okay, I said, but you focus on school. That's your job right now. She nodded, then hesitated. There's something else. I found out Mia was jealous of more than just our relationship. She was failing her classes, and she thought if I was struggling, it would make her look better. She even tried to get me to drop out. The revelation hit me like a punch. Mia's manipulation went deeper than I'd realized. A tangled web of envy and desperation. I felt a surge of protectiveness for Lily, but also pride. She was seeing through it now, stronger than ever. As we sat there, the first stars appearing in the sky, I felt a shift. The wounds Mia had caused were still raw, but they were healing. We were a family again, not just surviving, but growing together. And for the first time in years, I felt like I could breathe. But the story wasn't over. The police called the next day. Mia had confessed to everything, and they were moving forward with charges. It should have felt like a victory, but instead, it left me uneasy. Mia was a product of her own pain, her own brokenness, and while I couldn't forgive her, I couldn't help but wonder what had driven her to such extremes. The courtroom was smaller than I'd expected, more like a meeting room than the grand halls you see in movies. Mia sat at the defendant's table, her head bowed, her once confident demeanor replaced by a quiet resignation. Lily and I sat in the back, our hands clasped together, Mom beside us, her face etched with worry. The charges were serious assault with intent to cause bodily harm, plus a lesser count of criminal mischief for the damage her lies had caused. Mia's lawyer argued she hadn't meant to cause serious harm, that the antihistamines were a misguided prank. But the prosecutor wasn't buying it. Neither was I. When Mia took the stand, her voice was small, barely audible. I didn't want to hurt Lily, she said, her eyes fixed on the floor. I was jealous. She had everything I didn't: a family, a future. I thought if she needed me, I'd finally matter. The words stung, not just because of what she'd done, but because they echoed the insecurities I'd buried for years. I'd spent so long being the strong sister, the one who held everything together, that I'd forgotten how to feel like I mattered, too. But as I looked at Lily, her jaw tight, but her eyes soft with gratitude, I realized I did matter to her, to Mom, to the family we'd fought to keep whole. The judge sentenced Mia to probation and community service, with a restraining order to keep her away from us. It wasn't the harsh punishment I'd secretly hoped for, but it was enough. She'd face consequences, and we could move on. Outside the courthouse, Lily turned to me, the autumn wind tugging at her hair. "I don't know how to thank you, Sarah," she said, "not just for paying my tuition, but for everything, for not giving up on me, even when I was awful to you." I pulled her into a hug, the weight of the past weeks melting away. "You're my sister," I said simply. "That's what we do." Over the next few months, things changed. Lily started working a part-time job at the campus library, insisting on contributing to the household. She even set up a budget to start paying me back for her tuition, though I told her it wasn't necessary. Mom started physical therapy, her health improving enough that she could help with small chores, easing my load. But the biggest change was in us. We really talked. Lily told me about her fears of failing, of not living up to the sacrifices I'd made. I admitted how tired I was, how sometimes I resented the weight of responsibility, even though I'd never trade it for anything. It wasn't easy, peeling back those layers, but it brought us closer. One night, as we sat around the kitchen table, eating a pizza Lily had insisted on paying for, she looked at me with a shy smile. "I'm thinking about switching my major," she said, "to social work. I want to help people, like you've helped us." I nearly choked on my slice, my heart swelling with pride. "That's amazing, Lily," I said. "You'll be great at it." Mom reached across the table, her hand squeezing mine. "You've both made me so proud," she said, her voice thick with emotion. "I don't say it enough, but I am." For the first time in years, I felt like we were more than a family surviving, we're thriving. The scars from Mia's betrayal were still there, but they were fading, replaced by a new strength we'd found in each other. But life has a way of throwing curveballs. A week later, I got a call from Lily's college. Her tuition payment had bounced me, second job at the diner had cut my hours, and I'd miscalculated the bank account. Panic surged through me. I'd kept my financial struggles from Lily and Mom, not wanting to worry them, but now the truth was catching up. I sat down with Lily that evening, my hands shaking as I showed her the bank statement. "I messed up," I admitted. "I thought I could cover your tuition, but I'm short this semester." Lily's eyes widened, but instead of anger, she reached for my hand. "Sarah, we'll figure it out," she said. "Together." The word "together" hit me like a lifeline. For so long, I'd carried everything alone, but now, with Lily by my side, I felt a spark of hope. We spent the night researching scholarships, part-time jobs, even a payment plan with the college. It wasn't easy, but it was a start. As we worked, I realized something. Mia's betrayal had forced us to confront our vulnerabilities, to lean on each other in ways we never had before. And in doing so, we'd found a strength that no one could take away. The kitchen table was buried under a sea of paper scholarship applications, financial aid forms, and a spreadsheet Lily had made to track our options. She sat across from me, her laptop glowing in the dim light, her fingers flying over the keys as she typed. "There's a merit scholarship I qualify for," she said, her voice bright with determination. "If I get it, it could cover half the tuition." I nodded, my throat tight with a mix of pride and exhaustion. For years, I'd been the one to handle the bills, the one to find solutions. But now Lily was stepping up, her resolve a mirror of the sister I'd always believed in. "You're amazing," I said, and I meant it. She blushed, brushing off the compliment. "I'm just doing what you've done for me all along," she said. "I want to make you proud, Sarah." "You already do," I said, reaching across the table to squeeze her hand. Mom watched us from the couch, a soft smile on her face, her knitting needles clicking softly. For the first time in years, the house felt warm, alive with possibility. But the weight of the bounced tuition payment still hung over me. I'd been so careful, so meticulous. But life had a way of slipping through the cracks. I'd taken on extra shifts at the diner, but the hours were inconsistent, and my office job barely covered the rent. I hadn't told Lily or Mom how close we were to losing the house, how I'd been dipping into my savings to keep us afloat. That night, as I lay in bed, staring at the ceiling, I made a decision. It was time to be honest, not just with Lily, but with myself. I couldn't keep carrying the weight alone, pretending everything was fine. The next morning, I called a family meeting. We sat in the living room, the same room where Lily had accused me of poisoning her just weeks ago. The memory stung, but it also reminded me how far we'd come. "There's something I need to tell you both," I said, my voice steady despite the knot in my stomach. "We're in trouble financially. The tuition payment bouncing wasn't a one-time thing. I've been struggling to keep up with everything: rent, bills, Mom's meds." Mom's face fell, her hands twisting in her lap. "Sarah, why didn't you say anything?" she asked, her voice trembling. "I didn't want to worry you," I admitted. "You've both been through so much, and I thought I could handle it." Lily's eyes were wide, filled with a mix of guilt and determination. "Sarah, you don't have to do this alone," she said. "I'm going to apply for every scholarship I can find, and I'll pick up more hours at the library. We'll figure it out." Mom nodded, her eyes shining with tears. "I can sell some of my quilts," she said. "They've been piling up, and people at church always ask about them." The offers warmed my heart, but they also broke it a little. I'd spent so long trying to protect them, to be the strong one, that I'd forgotten how strong they could be, too. "Okay," I said, my voice thick. "Let's do this together." Over the next few weeks, we became a team. Lily applied for scholarships, her essays raw and honest about our family struggles. Mom started selling her quilts, her hands steadier now that she had a purpose. I took on freelance work, editing documents late into the night, my eyes burning but my heart full. One evening, as we sat down to dinner spaghetti, because it was cheap and we were stretching every penny, Lily got a call. Her face lit up as she listened. Then she hung up and turned to us, grinning. "I got the scholarship," she said, her voice trembling with excitement. "Full tuition for the next 2 years." Mom let out a whoop, and I jumped up to hug Lily, tears streaming down my face. "I knew you could do it," I said, my voice muffled against her shoulder. "It's because of you," she said, pulling back to look at me. "You showed me what it means to keep fighting, no matter what." The victory was sweet, but it was only one piece of the puzzle. We still had bills to pay, a house to keep, and a future to build. But for the first time, I didn't feel alone in it. We were a family, flawed and bruised, but unbreakable. As winter settled in, the air crisp and sharp, I started to dream again. Not big dreams, not yet, just small ones, like taking a community college class or saving for a weekend away. Lily noticed, teasing me about my secret ambitions, but her eyes sparkled with pride. One night, as we sat by the fire, Mom pulled out an old photo album. We flipped through pictures of us as kids, Lily with her gap-toothed grin, me with my serious eyes, always watching out for her. "We've come a long way," Mom said, her voice soft. "Yeah," I said, my hand resting on Lily's. "And we're not done yet." Spring arrived with a burst of color, the trees outside our house blooming with a vibrancy that mirrored the new energy in our family. Lily was thriving at school, her scholarship easing the financial strain, and Mom's quilt sales had become a small but steady income. I'd enrolled in an online accounting course, a step toward a better job, maybe even a life beyond the diner. But the scars of the past still lingered. Mia's trial had ended, her probation a constant reminder of the betrayal that had nearly broken us. Lily struggled with guilt, blaming herself for trusting Mia, for letting her lies drive a wedge between us. I told her over and over that it wasn't her fault, but healing takes time. One afternoon, As we sorted through Mom's quilts for a local craft fair, Lily paused, holding up a patchwork blanket in shades of blue and green. "This one's my favorite," she said, her voice soft. "It reminds me of you, steady, strong, holding everything together." I laughed, brushing off the compliment, but her words stayed with me. For so long, I'd seen myself as the one who had to be strong, the one who couldn't falter. But now, with Lily and Mom by my side, I realized strength wasn't about carrying everything Allenite, was about trusting each other to share the load. That evening, we sat down to dinner, a rare night where we were all home, no work or classes pulling us apart. Mom had made her famous lasagna, the recipe she'd perfected when we were kids. As we ate, Lily cleared her throat, her expression nervous but determined. "I've been thinking," she said, setting down her fork. "I want to start a fund at school, a scholarship for students like us kids who are struggling, who don't have a Sarah to save them." I stared at her, my heart swelling with pride. "Lily, that's incredible," I said. "How can we make it happen?" She grinned, pulling out a notebook filled with ideas: fundraisers, bake sales, even a charity run. "I've already talked to the dean," she said. "They're on board, but it'll take work. I want you to help me. Sarah, you're the one who knows how to make things happen." I nodded, tears prickling my eyes. "I'm in," I said. "Let's do it." Mom reached across the table, her hand warm on mine. "I'm so proud of you both," she said. "You're changing the world, one step at a time." The next few months were a whirlwind. We organized fundraisers, Lily speaking at events about our story, not the ugly details, but the strength we'd found in each other. People responded, donating more than we'd ever expected. By summer, we'd raised enough to start the scholarship, naming it after Dad, whose memory had always been the glue holding us together. One evening, as we sat on the porch, watching fireflies dance in the warm air, Lily turned to me. "I was wrong about you, Sarah," she said quietly. "I thought you were holding me back, but you were lifting me up. I'll never forget that." I smiled, my heart full. "You're lifting me up now," I said. "That's what sisters do." The road ahead wasn't easy. There were still bills, still struggles, still moments when the weight of the past threatened to pull us under. But we faced them together, our bond stronger than ever. Mia's betrayal had been a storm, but we'd come through it, not just surviving, but thriving. As I looked at Lily, her eyes bright with hope, and Mom, her smile radiant, I knew we'd be okay. We were a family, not perfect, but whole. And no matter what came next, we'd face it together, with love, with strength, and with the kind of trust that no one could break.